Good morning. Welcome into Catching Up with Tommy Mac. I'm your host, Tom McManus, and we are here live on Facebook and in the 1010XL podcast studios. I am solo today. Grammage is out. Got a little protein bar stuck in there. Hang on. There we go. Had to get that protein in before the show. You know what I mean? It builds muscles while you sit. But nonetheless, Grammage not here today. I am solo, but we've got a great show, or I should say I've got a great show lined up for you today because we're going to talk some free agency. We're going to talk TPC memories. We're going to look around the league and talk about our Jags. Love James Gladstone's comments about Robert Hainsley. I listened to that yesterday in the press conference, and we'll get all into it. Catching Up with Tommy Mac, brought to you by Team Tommy Mac, always there for you when you need them. And you may not need them today. You may not need new flooring. But when you do, you're going to call Carpet Man. You are, because he's the best. He's got the highest quality at the lowest prices, and he's got a ton of options for you. Whatever. You get hurt, right? You fall down, you get hurt, accident, whatever. You call Morgan & Morgan. You're thrown in the clink, you call my boy Chris Lucero. You know, you need a place to stay, you go see Visit Saltaire. Get your kids in camp. They got a camp next week. Don't forget about it. Spring break. Code Ninjas. Learn all IT. They're building games. I mean, trust me. The technology world continues to evolve. Get your kids involved early. Evolve, involved. You know what I'm saying? Bring it together at Code Ninjas. Check them out, codeninjas.com. I'll talk about the rest a little bit later on. Please check out TommyMac.net. You'll see the latest edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac. You'll also see the latest edition of The Horse's Mouth. And I'm working on, me and my friends over at The Horse's Mouth are working on a category just of all the celebrity types we've had on the show at the bar. And it's quite a list. So I can't wait to put that together. And I will share that as well. Of course, TPC Friday. I tell you what, man, what a day it has always been. It'll be that way today. I'm not going out today. I'm not going out at all this weekend. I don't know. I like going. When we used to live like a mile from the course. Mile, maybe not from the course, but from the entrance to TPC, like a mile. You could walk there. You could literally ride your bike, walk there, walk right in, go right into the 17th tee box, you know what I mean? Just walk right. It was just absolutely awesome and cool. And Thursday, Friday was rocking. Fridays especially. I said to my wife last night, I was like, what were the places that you always wanted to get into? I remember the Turn. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Dale. I remember the Turn, right? That was a big one right on the ninth green in between ninth and, in that area by the clubhouse. The Turn was big. And then there was another really big one that everybody tried to get into. And it was, like the who's who, if you could get in there. But nonetheless, we always had great times at the Players Championships. Hope everybody has a great time today. Wear your sunscreen. That sun has been great. You see I'm getting a little color now. I love it, man. You kidding me? I'm walking on the beach, getting some sun, doing yard work. Sorry for all you people that live up north or wherever you live and it's cold. It's beautiful down here right now in Northeast Florida. Expecting rain, I think, on Sunday. Hopefully it moves into Monday, so the golfers can get in their 4 days in a row, and whoever wins, it's always fun. I'll have it on TV for sure Sunday, without a doubt, to see who's getting. Hey, I know this is a football show most of the time, but I just saw this. This morning, I saw this headline about Steph Curry, first player in NBA history to hit, what was it, 4,000 threes. Something like, it was 4,000 threes in so far in his career. First time in history, in NBA history. I thought, you know what I immediately thought of? How many practice shots did he take? You know what I mean? It's got to be hundreds of thousands to make the 40,000, whatever it was. I think I'm off. I think it's 4,000. 4,000 three-pointers. Unbelievable. No question about that. Another quick little tidbit. Pete Mitchell, my good friend, sent me this the other day. It was a graph of NFL salary cap. I started in 1995, but 1994, the cap was $36 million, just under. The cap today is $278 million. Now, granted, it's 30 years, so, of course that's going to happen, but think about that. Think about that. What was it? Graham saying inflation, and that's with multiple times inflation. Dale said it was a blizzard yesterday. Good for you, man. Good for you. You're out there where the deer and antelope play, Dale. So they need that snow, no question. About it yesterday or 2 days ago at the TPC, Rory McIlroy handles his heckler, who ends up being a University of Texas golfer, who did apologize. He heckled him about, crashing and burning on Masters or whatever. And Rory went right up to him and just took his phone and walked off. I thought that was pretty funny. He needs some security. You know what? I got it. Golfers, you need security. Like no one knows they're there for you, but they take care of the heckler. And it'll be done like that. You know what I mean? The professionals. Get a lady bodyguard, because no one's expecting a woman, and then get some badass who knows all this stuff, can handle things in crowded rooms and whatnot. But I tell you what, take care of that heckler. Got off easy in my book. I don't know, dump him on his head a little bit, maybe. You know what I'm saying? All right, we'll get into the NFL in just a little bit because there's a lot to get into. I'm still thinking O-line. I'm still thinking O-line, and I hope it happens. There is a dark horse, I'll tell you about that, at least in my book. And then we'll look around the NFL. There's plenty of movement still going on, and maybe some movement coming here. We'll see. I saw what Gladstone said about now it's time to let the young guys, the rookies, play and grow and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see that. So great memories. I told you on Tuesday, I had a John Daly story, which I'll get to. It's unbelievable. God bless John. And I've never had the chance to see him until I was since that night. It's just unbelievable how these things happen. No question about it. The beating the boat story. I don't know how many of you know this story. So Marriott, 1 year, I parked at the Marriott, Sawgrass, and then went through the hotel and got on those boats to take you to that par 3. Was it 12 maybe? Right? So that's where we entered, and that's where we were coming back. Well, we're coming back, me and Michael Cheever and my brother Bob, we're coming back, and there's just a long-ass line to get on the boat, and I got to take a piss like you wouldn't believe. I mean, just, you know how it is. You drink so many beers, you just got to go. It's unbelievable. So I told Chuck, I said, gee, I just got to, he goes, well, why don't you jump in the water? I'm jumping in the water. He's like, hey, you know what? Why don't you try to race the boat? You think you can beat the boat? I'm like, swimming? He's like, yeah, swimming. And the boat, by the way, is a pontoon, and they're going, this way around. So the dock's here's the bank, here's the dock. They got to do this little S loop-de-loop to get there and let people off. I got a straight shot. Well, I'm like, hell yeah. Cheever throws $100 in. Guy on the boat did too, who did not pay. I'm surprised we let him off. Well, we did let him off. My brother jumped on the boat, Bobby. He's like, I was ready for any gators, thinking, I didn't even think about the gators. I'm pretty hammered. I got to take a leak. I couldn't really care. I leaked away while I swam. And for the record, I did beat the boat. I did. Now, here's the caveat. Here's the funny part about it. My future, oh my gosh, it's so funny. My future father-in-law was in line to get on the boat. I had no idea who he was. I had not met my wife yet. This was a couple years before. My future father-in-law was in the line. He goes home. He's like, Tom McMahon is like, jumped in the water. Unbelievable. But I did beat that son of a gun. No doubt about it. I'll tell you something that was crazy. Me and my wife were talking about this. I was known, because I always got tickets. People give me tickets to go. And I always wanted to go on Friday with my wife. It was a great date night. My in-laws would come down and watch the kids. We'd go have time. Well, for a couple times, I'd misplaced the tickets. I would just misplace them. I don't know. I had all this stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. So one year, I totally misplaced. And we're getting ready to leave. And my wife's like, oh, gosh, here we go again. And I'm like, oh, man. Okay, so I backtrack. I'm like, you know what? I think I accidentally put them in the mailbox at the post office, the outside box. And my wife's like, you're crazy. I said, I'm just going to go over there. And this is way before COVID. They would never let you do it today. Never. And I go to the post office. I've been going there forever. So they knew me, and we've got friends over there and whatnot. I said, listen, I think I accidentally dropped my passes to TPC into the mail, into the mailbox. Could you go out there and see if they're in there? Yeah, no problem, Tom. Went out there, did the thing. There's the 2 tickets in the envelope still. Came home. My wife's like, you're unbelievable. Anyway, can you imagine that today? They'd be like, sorry, buddy. We're not doing it. We can't do that for you. But those were different times. No question about it. All right, real quick. I'll tell you about the John Daly story, and then we'll get into some ball. All right. So it's a year after. It's the March after the 1996 run that we had, right? We went to the AFC Championship game. We're only 2 years in. It was a phenomenal time in our lives for the city, too. Everyone's jacked up. It's still kick-ass. It's only a couple months since we lost in the AFC the AFC Championship game, to the Patriots. So anyway, I think we started winter workouts, or just started, and it was a Thursday. So first round, we go do our workout. It's me, Cheever, Mitch, whatever, and then we're done, and we want to go get some beers and eat some food at Sloppy Joe's. Remember the old Sloppy Joe's? It's now Surfer the bar. Sloppy Joe's was owned by a guy that we had met down in the Keys. This really wealthy guy ended up bringing Sloppy Joe's. It worked for a little while. I don't know why it crashed and burned, but man, it was a really kick-ass place. So anyway, we're in there just kind of hanging out. They had I don't know if you remember, they had an open floor. Then they had a raised bar, little railing. They had a stage, and then they had an upstairs with the ceiling was cut out, so it's kind of like a balcony looking down. So anyway, we're in there, me, Chief, and Mitch, and we're just kind of hanging out, and we notice that John Daly and about 7 of his buddies are at the bar. And we're like, that's cool, man. We love John Daly. He's kick-ass, but we're not going to bother him, nothing like that. Anyway, an hour goes by, maybe a little bit longer, and one of the buddies of Daly's comes over, and he comes to me. I just happen to be closest, and he goes, hey, sorry to bother you guys, but we heard you guys play for the team, play for the Jaguars. And we're like, yeah, man, what a great year you guys had. John's a huge fan. Do you think he could come down here and meet you guys? We're like, what? Hell yeah, you can bring John Daly down here. Absolutely. And this was in his heyday, 1997, right? He's big time shot. Anyway, he comes down. The nicest guy you've ever met. I'm telling you, and even when I tell you this story, he was, aside from the fight he almost got into, and one other thing, or maybe 2 other things, nice guy the whole time. He signed everybody's autograph. He was signing everything. I mean, he was signing breasts for women. He brought his own Sharpie. I thought that was so cool. Anyway, so we started hanging out. His buddies come down. We're all kind of, there's about 10, 12 of us. We're just kind of hanging out, talking, having a good time. And, yeah, you're right, Jeremy. It did become Freebird after that. You're right. That was great. That was a great place, too. Anyway, so we're all hanging out, and it's getting to be about, I don't know, 6:37. We got a little bit of a buzz on. John's drinking these out of a pint glass, like these 7 and 7s. And he, by the way, he could handle his booze. I mean, there was no doubt about it. But he was drinking. So anyway, I'm like, listen, like we normally do, we want to go home, shower, regroup, and then we want to go out for the night, right? So that was our plan. And anyway, before we get to leave, excuse me, one of John's friends, who said he was his brother, I don't think he was his brother, says to me, hey, John's really enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and he really likes you, and any chance you have a jersey? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like my football jersey? He's like, yeah, John would like your jersey. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, John Daly wants my jersey? Hell yeah. So I was like, I actually have one at home, and I did. I had one hanging in the closet, not for games or whatever. It was just, I had it. And I said, I have one at home, and, yeah. He's like, well, are you coming back? I said, yeah, we can come back. He's like, come back and bring the jersey. I'm not going to tell John, surprise him. I said, okay. He ended up telling him because John saw me come back in. So anyway, go home. We go home, I bring the thing. So I'm a little embarrassed. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a little, I don't know, whatever, overwhelming, whatever the case would be. So I hide the jersey under my shirt and I walk in with, Mitch and Cheeve were still there. One of them might have dropped off. Mitch might have dropped. One of them dropped off, I think. Anyway, regardless, so I bring in the jersey. Well, John comes walking briskly over, and he's like, did you bring it? And I was like, yeah, man, I brought it. Here you go. And he puts it on. And the place starts cheering, and it was cool. It was kick-ass. It was unbelievable. So anyway, the night goes on. The night goes on. Hey, John, let's see. John kept drinking the 7 on 7s, 7 and 7s. Almost got in a fist fight. Almost did. Sang Knocking on Heaven's Door with the band, and he almost fell off the stage. He kissed a girl he probably shouldn't have been kissing. He was a mess. So anyway, I read the writing on the wall, and I'm like, and he's got my jersey on the whole time for the record. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. I know better. If I stay, it's going to be about 11:30 midnight. If I stay, only problems are going to happen. There's no doubt about it. So I say my goodbyes, and I get ready to leave. And I think it's me and Cheever at this point. Mitch had taken off by then. And the bouncer comes over and is like, hey, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're going to leave. You know, it's time to leave. And he goes, oh, don't go out the front door. I'm like, why? He's like, Channel 25, Channel 4, Channel 12. They're all out there with their trucks. And they know that you guys are in here with John Daly and party. And I'm like, what? What kind of shit is that? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you should sneak out through the kitchen. So we sneak out through the kitchen. I'm like, I'm out of here, man. Let's get out of here. So we go home, whatever. I go to bed. I wake up in the morning and I get a phone call. And it's Cheever. And Cheever's like, T-Mac. I'm like, what? I'm like, it's really early. I'm like, what? He's like, John Daly withdrew from the tournament. I said, what? I said, why? He's like, I think I don't know if he got arrested, but he got in trouble last night at his hotel room, and supposedly he still had your jersey on. I was like, oh my God. So I knew my instincts. I learned this a long time ago at Boston College. My older teammates would always tell me, if you ever get in trouble, any kind of trouble, get to the head coach as quickly as possible. Get him your story, tell the truth, but tell him your story before he hears it from anybody else. So I did that. I've done that. I got in a fight at BC that ended up being awful. I got charged and sued and one punch. I was just awful. Anyway, I went to the coach and I told him my story, and he's like, okay, I get it. I would have hit him too. I was like, oh, this is great. Anyway, Coughlin, I get up, that morning that Cheever tells me. And I'm like, oh man. So I get up, get in the shower, haul ass. I got a little, I'm not hungover, but I probably still smell a little bit. So I'm like, I'm going. It's 7:30 in the morning. I get there, I pull up, I get into the thing. And I've known Coach Coughlin for a long time, so I'm not like scared or anything, but it's still daunting to go see the coach on your off day. So I go in there, and he's like, what's going on? Sit down. I said, Coach, I don't know. He's like, I've heard everything already, Tom. What the hell are you doing? I'm like, we weren't doing anything. We're just kind of sitting there. And then he comes over, and we start talking and all this stuff. And he's like, well, what's with the jersey? Why has he got your jersey on? I'm like, he asked me for the jersey. I thought it's John Daly. I don't know. I gave him the jersey. He sits back. I'll never forget. He sits back. He's like, how the hell do you find yourself in these things all the time, Tom? And I was like, I think I'm too nice, Coach. I think I'm too nice. He's like, get the hell out of here. Anyway, what a great moment. So John, I don't know if John ever, I have no idea. But he went into Betty Ford right after that. And I sent him a letter to Betty Ford. And just saying how he was really a nice guy. He really was. And I know he is still. I'm glad he's doing great, because that was a moment. Those are one of those days, that are surreal but fun. I'm not going to get in. I'll tell you one day, baby. Eddie Lauder, the old-time actor, showed me around Hollywood and Beverly Hills one afternoon years back. God bless his soul. Eddie was great. He's up at the Lord, but a long time. The guy played the quarterback in The Longest Yard, the original. He played in a ton of movies. He was so cool. But anyway, great times with John Daly, and great times at TPC. Hope we all have a great time out at TPC. No doubt about it. It always is a fun time. Okay, so I heard Gladstone's comments, James Gladstone's, about Robert Hainsley and why he was a priority. Isn't that great, Jeremy? I mean, just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. You know what? I don't know how many of those kind of stories I have, but I got a lot of them. It was just all cool types of stories. So Robert Hainsley, the center of Tampa, is he come in as a free agent. He backed up Graham Barton, got beat out by him, but whatever. Played a game, which Gladstone referenced. And the one thing why I'm bringing it up is I like what James Gladstone said about Hainsley. He goes, yeah, he was definitely a priority, obviously knowing the system. And if you go watch him play, good morning, Jimmy. If you go watch him play against the New Orleans Saints last year, you'll go see why he was a priority. Now, I'm going to take him for his word on that, but the comments after is what got me going. He's like, you watch him finish through the whistle. That's the kind of guy we want on the offensive line. That is exactly what I've been talking about for years with this team. That's what I'm talking about. Bury him into the ground. You listen, there, and this goes for all you youngsters out there, okay? And to me, there's nothing more impressive than a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter, whoever, athlete, that competes, that is mean, that is nasty, that has grit, that'll get all over it on the field, court, diamond, it doesn't matter, the mat, whatever, it's go time. That who off the court, the field, the mat, the whatever, the diamond, is a superbly nice person. Kind, right? Empathetic, got good manners, nice to, knows you could throw down at any time, but you don't because you don't have to, because you're a good, those are the most impressive. So I want my line to be great out there in the community. Great. No doubt about it. But when they get on the field, they better be kicking some freaking ass. You know what I'm saying? They better be after it. So when I hear James Gladstone talk, by the way, there's something about that guy. I like his presence, man. I haven't met him yet. Just from watching him, and he's heady. He's heady. He's level-headed. You know, he's not up in the clouds. You can tell, man. And he knows what he wants. And I'm looking forward to this whole thing. I really am. And I think with the addition of Hainsley, Bakari, and the gentleman out of Adaga, out of Dallas, by the way, I hear he's an animal from what Coach Campo told me yesterday in the horse's mouth. So that's what we're talking about. Again, I've been saying it for years. Talent, you had enough. You didn't have the attitude. You got to have the attitude, man. You got to have that. And it's all through preparation. So when you show up on game day, I'm here to fight. It's a fist fight. It's a rumble. I'm here to beat your ass to the ground. And then afterwards, we can shake hands. I'll never forget my father. No friends on the football field, Tommy. You step on their necks. You don't help them up off the field. My dad couldn't stand that. I did that once as a kid. I mean, like a young kid in grammar school. And I got scolded because I helped a guy off the ground that wasn't my teammate. My dad was always like, after, you shake their hand, you be a good sport, you be cool. But during, no, man, it's good. So this is what I think we're going to see. I hope we're going to see. And again, Tony Baselli gives me that comfort because guess what? That's how he played. That's how our offensive line played. Wydell played like that. David, Sears, Tilsky, DeMarco, Benny Coleman doesn't get enough credit. That guy was insanely big. He was like, I'm telling you, practice, Benny Coleman would come out, he's 6'6", 330 guard who could move. And he would block the sun. You like if he got up on you, I mean, literally, you're like, okay, I got to guess. You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. And they all had the attitude. I'm telling you, it's all about, at this level, it is talent, it is sometimes scheme, but a lot of it's that attitude, that just persevere, grit, and prepare like crazy, and I think we're going to get it out of these guys. So listen, I still think they go O-line with if they stay at number 5, or whatever their first pick is, depending how far, if they fall back past 10 maybe, I think they could go D-line with that kid from Michigan, the Grant kid, if he's there. So we'll see how they work out. I'm not closing the book on Mason Graham, but I want to see the work. I don't want to hear about the work. I'm not going to see it live, but I want to hear about it. I want to know that he looks bigger than he's listed. He plays bigger than he's listed. That he moves really well. That his hands are violent. That he's just. I know. Listen, and this no disrespect to college. College ball is great. It's great with a lot of freaking talent, no doubt about it. But it ain't the same. It's nowhere. It's not. It's not the same as the NFL. It's not. Everybody's pretty big, strong, fast, athletic. Then it comes down to technique, will, and just desire to want to be absolutely fantastic. So I'm thinking that Mambu kid. I'm thinking Will Campbell. I'm thinking if they move back a little bit, and maybe even if they get a weapon, and especially if he tests well, it's going to be quite incredible. So I'm still thinking that. I will tell you this. You got to address defensive tackle in the first 4 picks. We have 4 picks in the 3 rounds. 4 picks out of the first 3 rounds. 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3. Got to hit on an offensive tackle, in my opinion. And if he plays guard, I don't care, but I don't think he's gonna. Offensive tackle, defensive tackle. I'd like to see another corner, and then or an edge, and then a wide receiver. And however that all comes together, I don't really care, but should be 4 at least starting type players, if that makes sense. That's how I'm looking at it. And I think, look, I know from hearing these guys, they're thinking up front. And that's good. That's good. We've been missing that, and we've been missing the attitude. And I think that they're going to try to bring that back. And again, I believe Tony Boselli is going to be a big part of that. I think it's great. I really do. So let's get it. Let's keep it going. Keep the momentum going. Listen, I know, it's funny. We were talking about this yesterday with Aaron Beasley, Major Hardy, and Coach Campo about the Jags and other teams. You bring in free agents, and you don't know who they are. You maybe never heard of them, or maybe you kind of heard of them, or maybe they didn't. But that's the and I know in the past it hasn't worked out, right? Where because my comment before saying that was you as a GM and a collective group as they are here in Jacksonville, you got to find those uncovered rocks. Like you got to find the Hunter Longs. Like you got to be like, okay, I know he didn't start, but I saw him every day. I saw him compete. I know what he can do. I know what he did in college. You know what I mean? Like that's a low risk, maybe a high reward. You know what I mean? You got to find those. You got to find them. Like Robert Hainsley, priority for this team, and they're happy because now Trevor can feel a little more comfortable. Bakari, my right guard, right? Boom, here we go. Ezra, Hainsley, Bakari, and maybe they add. I still think Van Lonen should be a guard. I think he could be a guard. Where's Javon Foster in all this? Right? I mean, again, and here's the thing we have to remember. And even if they recently signed an extension, they didn't sign it under this regime. That doesn't mean they're going to get cut because they're not going to do that, and they shouldn't. It's bad business financially. But that's what they're going to do. Right? They're going to have to figure that out. So that O-line, I tell you, man, if I'm on the O-line right now, my antenna's up. Like I better be preparing like crazy. I saw where Hance got over to the Texans. Yeah, Kirk, they redid Kirk's deal, so that cap number for them works. Good for them. We'll go through the NFL list in just a minute. Let's look at Cooper Kupp. He's been released. I know what I put out there on Twitter. Listen, the guy's incredible. There's no doubt. Even if 17 games, I think he's missed 18 games in the last 3 years. I think the last 2 he's missed 7, right? Or 5 or 7, something like that. He's missed some considerable time. Now, when he's healthy and out there, he's phenomenal. Now, that's a big risk, high risk, potentially high reward if he doesn't get hurt. But if he does get hurt, then it's a failure. Is it not? Not a failure, but, it doesn't work. Just got to hope that works. It's going to be interesting. Going to be real. I like the fact that they're building up front. I like the fact that they're, they're looking for that attitude. And let's go. Let's go. Yeah, I agree with you, Jeremy. I agree with you on the competition for the O-line. Yeah, and with Kupp, man, it's all going to come down to money. I'm all for you. And look, you portfolio guys know you got to have some risk. You got to have some, some more conservative. So I'm okay with that. I wouldn't overpay for him either. No doubt about that. But I think they're going to do what they said they're going to do, and that's build up these lines and make sure they are battle tested, battle ready. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Liam runs his practices, and all of that. So it'll be good, man. It'll be real good. All right, let's take a look around the NFL and some free agents that are left that maybe could be a fit here in Jacksonville. My show brought to you by Team Tommy Mac. Please check out TommyMac.net. You'll see this show. You'll see the horse's mouth, and you'll see Team Tommy Mac, each and every logo right there for you. Just click on it, and it'll take you right to the respective websites. Carpet Man Flooring, I already mentioned. Morgan & Morgan, if you get injured, forthepeople.com. Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds, #1 name in the bail game, 822-2244, the 904 in front. Get thrown in the clink, gets you out in a blink, man. J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. They take your junk and turn it into someone's treasure and then give it to veteran families in need. They're absolutely phenomenal. Azar Sausage. Make sure you check them out at the Gordon Food Store, Beach and University. They're all over Winn-Dixie. Whether in your favorite dish or in a bun, Azar Sausage is the one. The Baracus Group. I tell you what, man, I can't wait to see what they're going to do for everyday people. A program where you can feel extra safe with their security team, with quick responses, and with a total team behind you. Check out the Baracus Group, baracusgroup.com. And if you need protection out there, take it serious. I mean, you look, people are nuts. I'm always looking around. I just do now. You got to. And not that I'm a target. Come on, who am I, who am I hurting or offended? I shouldn't be anybody. But at the same time, you're like, man, you got to keep your eye on a swivel, right? I'm not packing. Not all the time. I'm packing these. These are still good, but not good enough. You know what I mean? So listen, you need some security. Check out the Baracus Group. Saltair Inn and Suites. Visit saltair.com. 4 blocks from the ocean, 2 blocks from the action. A beautiful, beautiful boutique hotel with concierge service. Code Ninjas, I mentioned them already. Get your kids into camp for spring break, camp for the summer. Get them out of your hair and get them into Code Ninjas. CodeNinjas.com. 4 great locations here in Jayville. Freedom Finance. Make sure you check out my man, Courtney Myers, owner of Freedom Finance. If you need any kind of CFO help, any kind of fractional CFO help, whether it's bookkeeping, fundraising, doing your forecasting, Courtney Myers is your guy. He is an awesome individual, and he's absolutely perfect if you need somebody in that financial position. Check them out at freedomfinance.llc. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group. They are the #1 commercial real estate firm here in Northeast Florida. We're talking industrial. We're talking office, retail, investments, development. They've been around since 1993. The principals are still together. They're a family. They get it done together. They're absolutely fantastic. Used to work for them 20 years ago, and we are still friends, even though I haven't worked for them in about 20 years. No question about that. And Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's hot sauce. Go to Family Traditions Specialty Foods.com and then put in pound Team Tommy Mac on the discount code bar, and you'll get a BOGO free. They got 4 phenomenal hot sauces. The Pineapple Ghost is great. The garlic's great. The Sriracha's phenomenal. I'm not a huge hot sauce guy, but when I go to hot sauce, I know it's on my table, and it's Coconut Joe's. Thanks to the 1010XL family, no doubt about that. Okay, so Evan Ingram to Denver. I think he's going to thrive. Look, you see the difference in how Liam and this staff and this new structure feel about what kind of tight end they want, scheme-wise, athletic ability-wise, right? So they want bigger, physical, line up in a traditional tight end spot or a move, either block or go out on a pass and still be effective in the pass game. It's not Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's a mismatch for defenses. I do. I think he used the right way. I think he could be phenomenal. He is ultra talented. There's no doubt about that. Can Bo Nix and Sean Payton get him into their system and really, showcase what he can do? That guy's still got it, man. He's still got it, and we all know what kind of guy he is. We all know what kind of worker he is. I think they got a good one out there in Denver. Gardner Minshew going to back up my homie. Man, what a gig. You kidding me? That's phenomenal. I mean, look, I know everybody wants to start. We do. But backup QB, could be the greatest job in all of professional sports. Greatest, pay per, risk of injury, pay per time on the, you know what I mean? Like, just got to be a good teammate. Got to be a good soldier. Stay healthy. If they need you, you can't screw it up. You got to be ready. So you got to prepare, but you take out all the rigors of start. Now, everyone wants to start. I get it, but I tell you what, man, nothing wrong with being a backup for a while. You can do that 15, 20 years and make a great living. So good for Gardner. Go back up. My homie out there in Kansas City. How about the beef between Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, who is now headed off to Seattle? He'd been with Dallas for a long time. Really good defensive lineman. 61.5 sacks, I believe. He made a comment, we won't win a Super Bowl in Dallas. And it pissed off Micah Parsons. And then DeMarcus said, well, if you spent more time winning and not tweeting, maybe we'd win more or something like that. But it got me to thinking, Dak Prescott, he gets paid more than Trevor. Let me ask you this. If Trevor ended up being Dak Prescott, stat-wise, I don't care how you feel about them today, but no championships, is that a success? Really goes for any QB. I'm just using ours here in Jacksonville. I know we all want the Super Bowl. Can't be considered the greatest QB of all time because he never won a Super Bowl. So, just interesting there. Because if I like both QBs, Dak and Trevor, but there's something with Dak. And I know everyone out there probably makes this. Now, he's had great years. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. He is. He's very good. He's very good. But he's not very clutch. And don't you have to be clutch to be a great QB? Leading your team to a comeback win. Putting the whole offense on your shoulders and carrying it. Good morning, Coach Wood. How are you, my friend? All the way out in L.A. Appreciate you checking it out. But seriously, you got to be clutch, man. I don't think Dak's very clutch. I think he'll give you a bunch of it's like Romo. Romo gave you a ton of yards, ton of stats, but he wasn't clutch. You couldn't count on him to pull it out on occasion. But now with the game on the line, I think that's a good measurement of a successful QB, how clutch they are. Part of a system, great. Hey, all good. Everybody's got to have a system, right? And you make it your own. But I don't know. When I saw that, I immediately thought of when DeMarcus Lawrence said that, does he mean Dak can't win him a Super Bowl? Speculation, shouldn't do that. But maybe. I wonder why he said that. I know they're gonna miss Zach Martin, that stud guard. What if at number 5 we found a lineman like that? Would you be okay with that? No, don't take him. Take him all day long. Guy was a beast. No doubt about it. Daniel Jones signs with the Colts. Mac Jones signs with San Fran. They get their guy. Where does that leave the Giants? I hear Russ Wilson going to take a visit along with the Browns. Let me ask you this, guys. What about, you got Russell, you got Aaron Rodgers. That's the only 2 you can pick. Who are you picking? I'm picking Rodgers. I just think he's 2 years removed from the injury. I'm thinking he's going to be all right this year. Those injuries are weird, man. They are. And the Achilles, very weird for quarterbacks. To come back the next year and, just be flawless like you played before you got hurt. Well, you didn't play very much that year before you got hurt, but you catch my drift. It takes a while. I tell you, when I tore my ACL in 97, 98, it took me to about midway through the season where I just forgot about it. Woody says neither. That wasn't the option, Woodrow. If those were the only 2 you had to choose, they're going somewhere. There's no doubt about that. Joey Bosa to the Bills on a 1-year deal. Chargers bring back Khalil Mack, but not Joey Bosa. Bosa, I tell you, if he can stay healthy, still a beast. There's something in those genes. John Bosa, Boston College, Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. First-round pick as well. 2 sons with a real Real deal. I saw where C.J. Mosley got released from the Ravens. Why do I automatically feel Washington's going to scoop him up like they did Bobby Wagner, who had another phenomenal year? That guy's insane. He just signed a one-year deal to stay there. Yeah, man. Oh, how about this? Vikings to release center Garrett Bradbury. And Dalton Risner, their guard, is also a free agent. Any interest there? Gives you options. It sounds like they got their center, though, from what Gladstone's telling me. It sounds like Hainsley is, unless he somehow gets beat out in camp, it sounds like they targeted him. He called him a high priority. So you got to believe what's coming out of James, what James is saying. So good. I hope he's an ass-kicking machine, is what I hope. That would be absolutely fantastic. All right, that's it around the league. Free agents left. I wrote down Asante Samuel Jr., the corner. Mekhi Becton, the guard. Tevin Jenkins, the guard/tackle. Problem with Tevin, he just injured too much. Too much. Yeah, we just talked about Boy Joe. You'll have to rewind the show a bit. I'm worried about his health. I mean, it's a high risk, high reward if he works out, but I don't know. And look, Devontae's the man. Are you kidding me? I love Devontae Adams. And I hope he can find some real good success with Stafford. I love Stafford, too. I think Stafford's phenomenal. I do. I've always liked Matthew Stafford. Tough hombre with a killer arm. Just incredible. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Pakua's the guy. And Cubs now, expendable. And they release him. If he doesn't get hurt, they probably don't release him. But injuries, it just sucks. It sucks. But nonetheless, back to Asante Samuel. Would you bring him in? Mekhi Becton. I'd bring in Mekhi Becton. Although, you look at the height and weight of the new O-linemen, they're not overly sized. They're like 305, 300. Not big bruising guys. The biggest guy on their line right now is Walker Little at 6'7", 325 pounds. I hope someone gets him going. I told you how I feel about him. Athletically, he's got everything. He's just missing that, like I was talking about earlier, kicking their ass and then being cool off the field. He's got it in him somewhere. He's got it in him. And I hope they can bring it out of him. And then what happens with Javon Foster? Regardless, if Membu or Will Campbell are there at 5 or 7 or wherever I end up, it could be tough if I'm them to pass. The only thing that would caveat that is Tyler Warren maybe, or a big stud defensive tackle like Kenneth Grant if we fell back far enough. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. That John Daly story. You know what's funny about that story? It made national news. Like my uncle up in Jersey, who was alive. No, he was in New Hampshire at the time. No, he was in Jersey at the time because it was in the Ledger, the New Jersey Ledger, or whatever it's called. And he's like, what the hell are you doing with John Daly? Like, they named Pete, they named Cheever, they named me. It was crazy. They were like, oh, they're feeding him drinks. We weren't feeding him drinks. He was drinking plenty on his own. But it was a great night and a great time. And unfortunately, it didn't end up great for John that night. But he's bounced back great, and I'm happy to see it because he was always a really, really cool individual to me. All right, we'll take it into the weekend. I am jumping on Jaguars today, I think at 10:25, just for a segment. They're down at TPC. I'm not going into the madness, so I'm gonna call in, and or they're gonna call me or whatever. I may stay here and just do it. We'll see. Actually, no, I'm going to haul ass home. I got to get home. It's Friday, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Going to a big party tonight, and my lead guitarist and his wife are throwing a big TPC party tonight right on the Intercoastal. We're getting down there early. We're Ubering, of course. Got to Uber. Hey, be safe out there, man. Be safe. It can be dangerous. So we're going to Uber, and we're going to have a great time, and whoever's down there, hope to see it. If I see you out and about, just say hello, man, because I always like meeting people and saying hello. You guys have a great day out there. Thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. Stay safe. Be cool. Be cool. Stay safe. We'll see you next time on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. Peace and love, everybody. Have a great weekend, and happy TPC Friday.